friends, vacation is back. Last year I had a lot of fun. I got an opportunity to fly on my glide with Captain Vinita. She's a wonderful person and very inspiring. So I asked her how she chose her interesting career.
All of us at some point in our life are inspired by the birds which fly up. And I would say I drew my inspiration from the birds. And there were several evenings after school, I would spend a lot of time on the terrace. And I always wondered how free the birds looked. And that's what really got me to think about, hey, I should also become a pilot. And that's what got me flying. I waited, and finally I was able to take the plunge because I couldn't really. I stopped enjoying what was happening at college while I was in class 11 and 12. I thought this is not what I set out to do in life, and I need to alter that. And that's how I went looking for something better, and I stumbled upon microlight flying. Largely, I would say aerosports. So then I kind of pursued it, stayed at it, pursued it, and went on to get my license, went on to get my instructor's rating, flew in different countries. So what really got me to fly is just the feeling of being free like the birds, and also the joy of flying microlights is something I experienced, in 1999 and 2000. And I saw that microlights had a different world altogether. It was a form where you could pull out the machine, you start up and you fly, and you and the machine. That was the equation. And that was a beautiful thing for me that kind of altered the way I looked at what I would like to do in life.
Usually in school, teachers ask what is your ambition. So I wonder what was Vinita De's ambition.
I was fiercely independent as a child, and what I wanted to be is a businesswoman. And also, flying was something very new to my family. We didn't have pilots in and around us. You really didn't have the wherewithal to know how you could become a pilot and what type of a pilot. Yeah. So I knew that so it was always either a business person or a sports person. Steffi Graf were my idols at that time. I used to play tennis. So I said, I should become a tennis champion or a business person. So there were multiple dreams which were floating around, but pilot was not one of them at that time.
We heard that Vinita D was on to sports. So we'll ask her if sports helped her to overcome fear.
To be honest, I didn't have any fear of flying at all. And I guess that goes back to, in most things, I've not had any fear, so to say. So it didn't come in the way at all. Not once I felt afraid of flying. Yeah.
By the time she was at 11th standard, she decided to become a pilot.
Between 11th and 12th, I knew that I wanted to fly, and I knew that I couldn't afford to get into the commercial stream, because at that time the requirement was that you needed physics and math, and I come from a commerce background. So what I was really looking at is, hey, I need to pursue and become this super powerful and a hurdle I had. However, since commercial flying was ruled out, I said some opportunity must be there to be able to do these things. I didn't know what type of flying I was looking for, because you really didn't have mentorship in that space. Neither did I come from the NCC, so that space was also grey for me. I wasn't clear. I knew that the air wing existed. I tried NCC, but it wasn't exciting for me. So the step is, a friend of mine knew about what I was looking for. She looked for it. She saw a paper ad and she said, hey, maybe you would like to do this, because it wasn't flying, it was aerosports. It was a camp which was happening. And then we went to this place, inquired a bit, and registered for a camp. That's how simply I started. But while I was as part of that camp, of an aerosports camp where you did parasailing, you did outdoor camping, you also did saw a bit of remote control flying. So that's when I said, hey, this is what, this looks exciting, but we hadn't still started flying. So once I saw flying, things changed completely. And with microlights, I would say, we were the first ones who got into this field of microlight flying. So there was no licensing procedure which was laid out. Everything was discovered while we started it. So we were, I would say, the pioneers and also the guinea pigs of the system.
Is microlight pilot better than commercial pilot?
Definitely. In fact, in between, I thought I should try commercial flying and I did register. But then I realized that I wouldn't enjoy being doing long routes without the joy of imparting training, or even taking people up for the pure joy of flying. So I felt that what I really enjoyed is the freedom of pulling out my machine, talking to somebody, comforting them, and taking them up into the air. I thought that was far removed in the commercial flying space. However, at some point I said I should just get into it so that you don't feel like you regret having not done it. But I think I kind of got it clear right away, and I'm very happy with the choices I've made. And in fact, the kind of exposure I got in terms of flying in other countries with different types of planes and different, say, hey, there's so much which we've managed to do. So it's completely no regrets at all. I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I want to continue to fly safely and enjoy myself as well. Hopefully different forms of sports as well.
I'm excited about women entrepreneurs. So we'll ask Vinita Di about entrepreneurship.
Right now, I run Bangalore Aerosports. It's a company. It's a private limited company. So it's an entrepreneurship. So we run this company with Wing Commander Ashok Mehta, who's also who's my mentor. And initially, I started working with Wing Commander Mehta, and after that, I started my own company. So both of us work together. So Mysore Aerosports and Bangalore Aerosports work together, and it's a nice, interesting entrepreneurship wherein one has sustained years of work in a field which is still nascent and still finding its feet, though it is more than 20 years since this whole thing came in. But given the time, given the kind of setup we have in India, I think we've done very well.
It's brilliant to follow your passion and be an entrepreneur. So we'll ask Vinita Di about her experience.
Sometimes you set up enterprises to scale, to grow, and then to, move on. But this is more like an enterprise where, you're giving an experience, you're enjoying what you're doing, and you can continue to do it for yourself and for others. So I love the fact that the ethics of the business is also something which I enjoy. I'm sharing a part of somebody's journey each time, and each day it's a different experience. So I like the business aspect and also the joy of flying. Yeah.
Bangalore Aerosports operates in Bangalore and in Mysore. So we'll ask her how she manages it.
Largely our client base is in Bangalore. Our students who enroll and register with us to learn to fly, to obtain a private license on microlights. And we also have a few students in Mysore. And it's not so difficult to kind of juggle it. Mysore is a stone's throw away, and the airport and the facilities in Mysore, in terms of the view and the runway, is fantastic. So it's not difficult to juggle. Sometimes you could fly down, sometimes you could drive down. In the non-pandemic days, we would use the normal train service. Just jump in early morning at 5 o'clock, and you're there ready for flying. So it's been, and we don't do it as often as I would like to do it. It's not like every weekend I'm in Mysore. I would love to do that, but it's not difficult to juggle, I would say. That's what keeps you so much. It refreshes. At least for me, it's very refreshing to be able to move. Otherwise, there's a sense of you somehow get used to the mundane. So I love the fact that I can fly in two places. I'm very lucky.
Wow, that's interesting. So she can fly anywhere she wants to?
Aircrafts can fly anywhere as long as you adhere to the clearances. As long as you put petrol and your engine is running, you can keep flying.
Technically, this is single engine aircraft. So let's check about that.
So it is a two-seater single engine, and it's a lightweight. All up weight would be 450 kgs. It flies like any other plane, be it a Boeing or a fighter plane. The principle of flying is the same, but these machines are light, and you can actually learn to build your own plane. That's how microlights came into the whole gamut of flying.
And there is an interesting part to it. We can learn flying and be a hobby pilot.
So we're not really like a commercial flying academy. You are cleared as instructors to actually train in terms of if you are looking at how does it operate. It is a 40-hour program. It's customized person to person, so people have different time schedules when they would like to come. So people come, register, and start their flying and their paperwork parallelly, and work towards getting a pilot's license, a hobby pilot's license. Yeah. We have a website. It's called BangaloreAerosports.com. They can just go onto the website. They can call us. They can message us, write an email, and you just, in a short notice of a day, they can just book their flying and come and fly. They can take air experience flights, which are for just short time of 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and see for themselves how enjoyable the whole experience of flying in an open cockpit would be. So we are available and operational through the year, all 365 days. Weather permitting, we fly all days.
Mintadi has a flying experience abroad and she loves adventures.
Recently, I went to Mauritius for some seaplane flying. It was an exciting experience. You have the island and then you go around the island taking people up. There you can, do hour-long flights. You go to it was a beautiful experience because I could actually have my Indian license was validated in Mauritius. And that's new for hobby pilots like us and the people who are in this entire game, especially going to different countries and flying. And also your license being validated. One is you pay, you fly. But this was a different experience of, your license being validated. I was there for a couple of months. And I was hosted with this company which does active flying. A dear friend, Bruno, was excellent. So I did enjoy myself thoroughly. And seaplane is, you have a different runway each day. And each time, with each tide, you have a different runway to choose. So that was a new thing. And you got to be on your toes. You're hoping, you're crossing your fingers that you don't hit a rock here or there. So it was a learning. It was extremely exciting, and sometimes you had lots of butterflies in your stomach. So Likewise, I've also been to France and UK. Both these places, the culture of flying is very different from India. It's a lot of fun. People fly there quite more actively than us. The clubs are much more active. So. Yeah, my dream is hopefully some point we'll become more pilots, more airports, more machines than what we have just now.
But she had an experience of engine failure. Let's see how she tackled it.
A couple of years ago, I was flying in and around, the airfield in Bangalore, and suddenly I was with a student, and suddenly the engine. Quit on us. And when that happened, we as pilots are always preparing for an emergency, be it on takeoff, be it in the air, be it. So one was the preparedness. Secondly, it kind of jolted you because you maintain your machine well, you look out for the weather, you look out for everything. And suddenly this engine quit on you and you had to draw in all your reserve to say, hey, let me do what I have learned all these years. So we looked for a field. There were a bunch of people who were playing there. So the choice of a field to be able to safely land, and one is to. So we were able to do that. We not only identified a field, and we also put the machine down and we walked out of it safely without a bruise. And for us, that was for me, that was an achievement. I wish I could have done better in terms of maybe if I was well within the gliding distance of the runway, I would have been able to land back in the airport. So through that, my learning has been, guys, it's all very well be preparing, but finally when an incident or something, when something like your engine quits, your heart is in your mouth and you need to draw on your reserves. And as a pilot, you're looking at really drawing into each mini second, what are you going to act? How are you going to do? How are you going to be safe and keep your person safe and walk out of it? So that was a huge learning, and we're happy that we're lucky that I'm sitting with you and chatting.
I just got my breath back. I told you she's super brilliant.
In such a situation, the beauty is that luckily it was just the engine which had quit. That means your aeroplane can glide and fly. It's not like it's gone into, it's not an uncontrolled path, it's a controlled path. It's just that you can't control where you're going to land, right? So that is the difference. So it's not like, so what you do in a situation is like this, in a situation like this is, you say, hey, the engine has quit, my aeroplane is working, and you're trained to do engine off landings. So you can safely put the machine down. So you draw on that kind of a reserve. But otherwise, in terms of to draw on any kind of an equipment, that is not available. The least you could do is on the radio. On the radio, you call out your emergency. That's what you would do. But other than that, you really don't have any aid which will help you land better. It's about your skill of being able to put the machine down and safely, as safe as possible. You need to also have that little chat with the aeroplane to say, please be on my side.
She started her career 20 years ago. As a girl, it would have been really challenging for her.
When I started, other than a belief, I don't think we had much to bank on. So it was more like, hey, I like this, and if you like something, you do it. That should be good enough, yeah. But in terms of, so that's how I viewed it, and I said it will be challenging, but I'm sure there was this, when you're young, you're so much of a daredevil and say, we'll see whatever comes, we'll be able to deal with it. But in terms of the challenges, one is the sport itself was new, and the rules, regulations, the support, either from the state or from the family or from the community, was far and few. Other challenges is also the way one views, the world views a lady taking to it as a sport. The questions were, you don't even know what you're getting into. And also it's largely male dominated, and sports flying being such a new thing, that means you would have to do much more than what you would do in any other organized sector. So there were too many challenges in terms of even the communities, even people around you were not sure what you were doing. Neither were we 100% sure, but we just had the faith that, hey, we're going to get going and we will do this because we enjoy it. So the challenges were, I would say, especially when it came to training, as long as you were taking people for air experience flights, it was okay as a woman. But the minute it came to training, there were different dynamics in the cockpit which would come up. So I would say there are gender differences which come. It's the way you approach it, the way you get a response to it. And it's difficult at times because it's quite a tight space, the cockpit, and there are different dynamics which happen there. So there were challenges with a few of the students who would, whom one would fly with. It's also that, a woman is in command and you're asking, so there were certain traces of it, but I think I also grew better in handling this situation, and also the students were also getting more and more because these were middle-aged men mostly, and slightly much more senior in age and in their, the kind of work they do. So I would say those are few of the challenges in terms of my own profession. But outside of that, in terms of my training aspect, but if I were to talk about, dealing with government offices, dealing with your permissions, dealing with all of that, you have had you've had to make your presence felt. You had to ask for your space. You had to assert yourself all the time. So I would say I have learned and I've grown as a person better in handling these situations than how it was, even 10 years ago. So, yeah.
What are our future plans? Let's ask.
Much more healthier spaces. Our aerodromes, our airports are not as fun as I would like it to be for the person who's coming in. If you were to enter an airport, you go through frisking, you go through this, you have to get your passes. So I would like this entire process to be that much more healthier, for a more user friendly for people to come and avail this service. And I wish the state, supports it in a much more organized fashion. Just the other question of what you were asking about, what is the future of this particular thing for people? I think that's what you had asked in your previous question. For girls, I think women make much better pilots and very good entrepreneurs and very good pilots. I think many more women must be encouraged, and they must believe that it's possible. So I wish that we don't look at it as like I need a lot of muscle power to become a hobby pilot, but I just wish that there are many more women participating in this. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I just wish it does happen. Yeah.
Women are better, says Vinidadi.
I think it will become controversial if I say women are better in everything. So I think there is a certain sense of, I think when you have, all domains are not freely accessible to you, right? As a woman till now, you need to really work towards getting your access, towards inching towards what you want. So I feel that somehow gives them a better sense of how to, I would say in skill wise, there is something which they bring because of this experience of being a novel experience for them. They need to really work hard to get it. So I guess their approach is different, I would say. So I'm not sure how, I would be stereotyping if I say they're better pilots, but I think they definitely are.
I was scared and I had to fly. Vinidadi gave me a lot of confidence.
I think it comes from one, completely taking on the responsibility of this person who's flying with me. That's one. And ensuring that, this particular experience and, somebody is putting complete faith in you, and I am taking on the responsibility of this person entrusting the faith in me. So that gives me the confidence that, I am going to do a good job with this particular experience and engagement. It also comes from I would say it also comes from really knowing your machine well, like with how well your machine is flying, our observation of the weather. So taking responsibility for all aspects of the aircraft, of the weather, of your well-being, whether you're mentally fit for this particular flight. So taking really preparedness in all this gives me the confidence that I can take this person up and bring this person back safely. So I think that preparedness and that kind of an engagement, we're really thinking each time prior to the sortie, during and well before of, how can I make this one sortie worth a lifetime's experience for that person. So it comes from preparation and also taking the responsibility, I would say.
She is highly positive and her positivity is contagious. How did she gain that quality?
We're 3 girls in our family, and our parents felt that we must be independent, fiercely independent, I must say, in all aspects. And they kind of raised us with the kind of confidence that we could do anything and we can do anything better than anybody else. Though we always got this feedback of, oh, you all are three girls, but that kind of has motivated and propelled me, I would say, to take on larger challenges, to take on bigger battles, to really push myself to excel, and to also create a sense of, sense of you can do amongst everybody around you. So I would say that, one is, of course, the family support, and on my own stream, in terms of schooling, college, everywhere, there was always a sense that, it was very easy for people to put the other person down. So our commitment, be it in flying or be it with our students or be it with people who come and take air experiences or otherwise, is the commitment to include and to have the person equal. So it comes from a sense that, if you treat the person equal, automatically everything falls into place. It's not of who you are, where you come from, what you do. It's about the excitement and the curiosity to know about the other person's experience, life, and to be equal. So I think that's something which I have learned through the years, and it's a commitment which I make and remind myself each time. So yeah, I would say, of course, I have lots of role models, and lots of people have helped shape and continue to keep this commitment, because it doesn't come easy. It's very easy to slip out into feeling very important of what you're doing and thinking you're the last word in this. So attitude, like, being humble, being grateful for what you have and to be able to share is what keeps me, and being able to smile and take on these challenges, I would say. Yeah.
Here's a secret. Do you remember the movie AB, directed by Srikant Mulli? She was a part of it.
You romanticize movie making and movies. So when for us, it was an adventure. When we kind of met Srikant, we were excited. We said, yes, it's possible. We can do the shooting. We can go to Idukki. We can do it at Gundalpet. We explored various opportunities. For us, it was an adventure, and we took it on. Like all filmmaking, everything is not a bed of roses. But Vineet Srinivas was a fantastic guy. He keeps his cool, he keeps his integrity, and he's very respecting of the people whom he's dealing with as well. So when we packed our machine and, packed it onto a truck and we set course, that was an adventure. So then we were riding, not all of us, Ashok was riding in the truck with the machine all the way. Then we landed at Idukki. Then we had such a fantastic time at Idukki because people were so excited. And there were huge numbers. Numbers were like crazy at the Idukki site. And it was, then we had our walk to the streets of, small streets of Idukki, enjoying the Kadala and of course the toddy. So everything was an experience, and we made, I must say, I would give full credit to Ashok for having made it an adventure, because it was enjoyable to a certain point, but it was also a lot of wear and tear on the machine, and also uncertainty of, we need to be careful because the numbers were too high, and in a crowd to control flying or even the movement would be very challenging. So, but all said and done, the way they were able to put these pieces, the action of offset and onset, and maybe the movie by the end of it was an exciting journey, I would say. The way the props came up, the way they would build things, everything was a joy. And like I said, that each one, from the cinematographer to the director to the producer to the actors, we made friends with everybody. Of course, we did rub rough shoulders with a few, but it was a different world world, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I never knew that cinematographers could, go up and down with so much of, it was interesting to see how they would compose things, and we flew all of them. We flew a lot of people, and each time when they got airborne, there was a different experience. So I would say that it was an exciting period. Yeah, if I get time sometime, I must recollect and jot it down, I think. There's a person and it's based on a true story, multiple of those things. But it was interesting that somebody in India had took on the challenge to actually make a movie out of it, and also from real sites. Most often they build models, and you kind of get a glimpse of the aircraft here or there. So think quite. So it was interesting that somebody could take an idea and see it through to the end. So, and yeah, I had heard of this person somewhere in Kerala being really there. So I thought that was a good commitment. I think we have far and few movies which have ever come in the Indian industry on flying. So it's good. I hope they make many more such movies. I think it was definitely a challenge which they took on, though it was risky. I think it was a good commitment, I would say. Yeah.
Vinitha also holds several other passions.
I'm involved in education. I've been working in the field of education since 2010, and something which I've worked with younger children. I also work in library space. So that's another commitment which I completely, thoroughly enjoy. So that's lots of book related work. So a small community library which I engage in this field of education. I'm always excited about how children learn, how they get excited, how they are curious all the time. So that keeps me more curious and more happy, I would say. Yes, of course, the pandemic has created different stories, but I worked for over 7 years in a small alternate school called Purna, and now I run a community library which is open to children from the community, where they come and pick up their own books and choose what they would like to do. And I also am keen on research in the field of how children learn. So these are all at physical sites. And I'm always excited about it. And yes, it's a free library. Children will find these spaces without. It's called word of mouth, I think, again for children. But it's in the community, so it's word of mouth. Children walking, and they get excited with the books or with the games which we have, and they come. So yeah, it's sad that such spaces are not available just so easily for children just now. Yeah. So again, I run this with a friend of mine who's again Bangalore based. So we two of us who actively run this space.
She sings well, but this time she has a quote for us.
So it's a quote by Leonardo da Vinci. He says, "For once you have tasted flight, forever you will walk skywards, for there you have been and there you long to be." So that's what I would say.
Thank you, Vinitha. Thank you all.
Happy landings. Yeah. Bye.